What it do, Bruce, Juice, crew? And we got our first game of Week 12 here on a Thursday night. Texans versus Bills. We're going to break it down today, going over the advanced analytics, going over how this game might turn out, the projected game flow, so we can see who's our must-starts, who's our benches, who's our pickups, our sneaky plays for our fantasy football lineups tonight. Before we dig in, though, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're breaking down all the games. We'll break down the games on Saturday so you're ready for that main slate. And on top of that, we do this every Thursday, mostly on Mondays as well. And then we're going deeper than anybody else on the waiver wire. We're trying to find you hidden gems and also trying to tell you why or why not to pick up some of these dudes. We're deep diving all the trending players like Manny Wilson the other day might be starting, and you may want to pick them up or you may want to stay away, but now you got the information. Click that subscribe button. Stop missing out. Free resource. I'm giving you a bunch of advanced data that's behind paywalls. So you're getting that here for free on the prospects that you're trying to figure out for your fantasy football teams. Ric Flair's watching, though. Don't disappoint Ric Flair. But we got an interesting matchup today. Bills, Texans. And a key trait to this year's NFL season is the dogs are a little scrappy on these night games, especially the Thursday night games. We did have a trend earlier this season where the dogs were winning some of these, but you see a little bit more scrappiness out of them. And you could definitely see that in the cards here. But when you're looking at this analytically, you could definitely see where the Bills could roll here. You got a thick spread of 6, but not the thickest spread. You got a 43.5 over under, which is kind of low for a Bills game. But when you look at this Texans team, it makes sense. When you're looking at their last 3 games, all of them hit the under. So you're seeing that over under that's kind of played in there. But remember, like their last game was in 2024. And then 2021, 2018. So really those numbers aren't really real. And the best data is just going off of what we're seeing from the teams here these last few weeks, which is common sense. It's not a divisional matchup. And it's been some time since these guys played up against each other. And there's a lot of changes. But really when you're looking at the spread, you're looking at the over-under, you're looking at a Thursday game, you're also looking at a matchup here that could go a bunch of different ways. So the numbers are saying Bill's going to ride it out, and it could be a nastier game for them. Maybe the workload, the scoring for them might be decreased by a certain percentage. What we're seeing here from trends from the dogs here on Thursday, which is different from game to game, is that it's probably going to get a little scrappy. It might start off a little bit slow in the first half, and then wherever it leans in the third and fourth quarter after adjustments, that's probably where it's going to go, and it might pick up. It might pick up middle of the third quarter and into the fourth quarter, and you'll probably be around that 43.5. That's probably how you're going to get there with the firepower of the Bills. That's probably how you're going to get there. But you're looking at Josh Allen. Every single game, except for that week 18, I can't remember what happened there, but I think there's some context to it. Every single game, you're seeing him hit double digits. He's safe. It is what it is, what happens. Sometimes, 3 times over the last 2 years, year and a half or so, you got 3 QB2 results, and you got 4 QB3 results. I think you're starting him. I think his upside might be reduced unless something goes haywire in this matchup. Davis Mills plays like he doesn't give a fuck, and he's also been in matchups that were supposed to slow him down, and he's going up against the defense here that are at least allowing quarterbacks to hit the fairway. He's got the firepower around him to hit the fairway here in this matchup against the Bills, and that could lead to that upside that we're seeing here in the last 2 weeks against the Titans, against the Jaguars, if this matchup can get pushed. This is really also on top of that Texans defense. Like, if they can bend a little bit to this Bills offense where Mills has to push it, that's going to make this game script rather interesting. I look at Mills as, if you're looking for a quarterback to moneyball with, if you're looking for a late probability, if you're in a 14-team league or more, or if you're hurting that bad, this is a matchup where you can lean into him. I think most 12-man leagues, you got somebody else. I think if you give me start, sit questions with Davis Mills. I think most of them I would go the other way. I think if you want to make that gamble, that's on you. You read all this, and if your gut goes with it, go with it. Go with it. Because when I'm on a hot streak, I'm right 60 to 70% of the time, which means I'm doing elite work here, which means I'm also wrong 30 to 40% of the time. So really, I'm giving you the information so you can make the play off your gut. That's my true value for you, giving you some of these numbers that a lot of people give you a little bit of, but they kind of gloss over. Davis Mills is a good upside bet, a good upside gamble, but you're looking at James Cook. Like I say every single week, like I'm never going to bet against him. I'm never going to bet against James Cook here. Like he's going to have some games throughout every season until the wheels fall off that he is going to bottom out. Like that's just part of it. That's ebbs and flows. That could happen tonight against the Texans. The odds of that happening this week is increased. He is likely to hit the fairway, though. The Texans are allowing a lot of running backs to hit the fairway. They have not been busted up by a running back yet. They have not been busted up by a running back yet. No running back has hit 20-plus PPR fantasy points against them. So the odds of hitting his upside, his ceiling, is reduced. But he also has fair odds to get you good scoring. That's a fair thing to say. The odds of busting are increased a little bit, but it's not super massive. So James Cook is fine, but that's the play, and you're not going to bench him anyways. Woody Marks here is going up against a Bills defense that has been banged up over the last few weeks, that has been banged up by running backs. This is another opportunity for him to smash in a matchup, but he did not smash against Tennessee. That was a weird game script. Things got weird there, but still didn't smash. They're also splitting up the risks between him and Nick Chubb still. You're seeing that. So he is still a gamble dart throw in the lineup. He shouldn't be. He shouldn't be if he's truly firing to the upside. He's not firing to the upside because there's more upside to his game. He's just not firing to that, and we got to account for that when we're looking at our analysis. Like this prospect that we saw the upside in during the draft season isn't firing it to it yet. We saw it in one game, but we're not getting there. You also got to think about the offensive line woes here for the Texans. That is a big issue for this team, especially up the gut there. So you have to take account for that, especially for the long term. Woody Marks has potential here. He's also a gamble, but he's got potential here. He's got good potential to hit the fairway tonight. There's good for that. It is a risk. If you ask start-sit questions, I'm probably going to have him around that 20-ish range, 15, 18-ish, 20 range of rankings this week, even though I haven't ranked yet. But I just got that overall feel. I think there's a probability that we don't hit the fairway, and I think the upside needs to cash for the touchdowns. But there's a high likelihood that we hit the fairway here. There's downside and upside to this guy this week. You're looking at the wide receivers. You're looking at this. Nico Collins is going to get the deep ball against the Bills here. The Bills have allowed every wide receiver, every main wide receiver pretty much against them to at least hit the fairway. I think that's pretty safe that's going to happen for Nico Collins. I think the odds are in his favor. And when you're looking at all the other wide receivers, Jayden Higgins is the hot man right now. So if they have to go to second and third reads here in some series and some plays, he is highly likely to get that deep ball and is a good candidate for that. After that, you're spraying and praying with other wide receivers in this offense, and you also praying that this game script breaks. So you need this Texans defense to bend a little bit more. And if that happens, then you can get some good pushback on both sides because it's a dancing partner when you're trying to figure out fantasy production here. When you're trying to get more fantasy production, it's the dancing partners here. And you do not have an optimal partner here with that Texans defense. And also Mills. It's not like he's Patrick Mahomes. So he could go back to being Mills. He's been hot, but it's a small sample. You have a lot of outliers here that could break this game in a bad way. You have some outliers here. Bills defense, Josh Allen, Mills running hot. That could break this game in a good light. So you got to call it out on both ends. And when you're looking at the Bills wide receivers, you're looking at Shavers. You're also looking at old Gabe there. Gabe is a deep ball dandy. He is a big-time gamble. I would look at him more for DFS. I would be looking at that for that deep ball effect. He could make it rain tonight. And that's not a prediction. Like, that's going to happen. They're ramping him up. Gabe Davis could make it rain tonight. It could be next week. There's going to be a game because Keon Coleman healthy scratch last week. Keon Coleman was drafted on this team to be Gabe Davis plus, pretty much. They drafted him to be more than Gabe Davis. They wanted him to develop into that. And now he's not turning into even Gabe Davis levels. Gabe Davis was there. They might as well just plug Gabe Davis back in. They might as well just do that. That's what you're seeing. That's how I read it, and it's just common sense to me. Khalil Shakir will always be your safest option here in this matchup. Running all the routes, good route participation rate. You're looking at that. But I would not be surprised in this matchup, you see targets get sprayed around. Maybe Shavers hits, maybe Gabe Davis hits, maybe one of the ancillary wide receivers on this Bills team starts showing themselves a little bit. Maybe Josh Allen takes off with it. Maybe that happens. That's something to look at here. You're going to see something a little different from this Bills offense. It could go to Dawson's Knox. I said that weird. I have a cold. However, Dawson Knox here is going to be running a lot of routes, getting a lot of opportunity with Kincaid out. It's not projectable, though, and they might go more to the wide receivers. Remember, when a target goes down, it doesn't go to the next man up. It just sprays around in offenses. This was another thing we saw last week. We saw it with a few other wide receivers in this offense emerging. Shavers, some other guys. Think of that. But if you're in a bind and you're looking at these two tight ends, Schultz is the man I would be looking at here. He's running hot right now. He runs very hot with Mills. He works well with Mills, and he gets a lot of volume. I call him a butt rock tight end because historically, as you look in 2024, he gets a lot of volume. During that time, he was getting the volume as like a lower tier tight end 1, like someone ranging tight end 8 to tight end 12 status of weekly scoring, but was not firing to that. Not too far off, like maybe a catch and a touchdown away in some of those games, but he wasn't firing to that. But now with Mills right now, he's starting to fire with that. He's always got that workload. He always has that potential. So if you're hurt and you're looking at these two tight ends and you want to play this game for whatever reason, Schultz would be your guy. I do not know who else is on your waiver wire, but if you're looking at this game, Schultz gives you the higher probabilities. Knox and how he would beat Schultz would be getting the score, getting the touchdown. The odds are against his favor of racking up catches and yards, but it could happen if Josh Allen has to go down his progressions. And that could happen against a defense like this. Not highly projectable for Dawson Knox. Schultz is at least going to run a high route participation rate. You're seeing him out there running 80% route participation rate. That's elite for a tight end. And he's probably going to run a lot of routes in this matchup as the Bills' offense can push the pace. He's in good line to see a good amount of targets. He's seeing 6.8 a game. Last year, he's seen like 5 to 6. He's probably going to see somewhere in that range. 5, 6, 7, 8 targets. He might catch that touchdown. He's got some upside there. And I'm not usually a Schultz supporter. I'm usually not. But I'm cutting you straight like I always do. I'm the honest guy here. You don't want to go to CNN. You don't want to go to Fantasy Life. You don't want to go to Fantasy Pros. You want somebody that keeps it real with you. I'm going to be your man. Win or lose, we still boo, so you might want to hit that subscribe button right now so you can keep it loose. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.